Okay, thanks for coming along, everyone, to this Creativity in Higher Education webinar. Our project, Design as a Catalyst for Engaging Students in Creative Problem Solving, has just concluded over the last few weeks. It was an ALTC funded project that was led by UniSA and Associate Professor Denise Wood, who is with us today, but on mute. So today, Professor Noel Lindsay from University of Adelaide is going to report on the trial that he conducted of the creativity tool that we developed during the project in his entrepreneurship course a couple of times actually. So we'll have Noel talk for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then we'll have question time afterwards. Over to you, Noel.
Thanks, Carolyn, and a very warm welcome to everybody. I don't know if I'll speak for 30 or 40 minutes, Carolyn. I'll probably do a short presentation, then open it up for discussion. My presentation this morning, I've got to say this is my first webinar, so apologies if it's a little bit not perfect. But my presentation this morning has to do with my experience in using the Ingenium creativity learning tool. And I just wanted to step you, first of all, give you a little bit of background about how I used it in the context that I used it in, and then talk about some of the things that happened and some of the lessons that I took away from this. So the context or the background, if you like, for using this is that I teach and do research in the area of innovation and entrepreneurship, and I've been doing this for a number of years. And creativity is touched upon in my course. We actually have we offer whole courses on creativity and innovation in our. We offer an undergraduate program and a postgraduate program in innovation and entrepreneurship. But the course that I teach, or one of the courses that I teach, is an introduction to entrepreneurship and innovation. And so creativity features in a small way in this course. For those of you not familiar with what is entrepreneurship, many people think it's just business. It's actually more than that. We have millions of businesses in the world, but very few of those are entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurship, and there's no one definition of entrepreneurship or innovation, just as there's no one definition of creativity, but I've just put some simple definitions up here on the screen. One of the explanations of entrepreneurship that I like is it's a process of creating or seizing an opportunity. Could be a business opportunity, could be a social opportunity, but not focusing on the resources side of things. And this goes against what many people think who are going to set up a business. They're always worried about, how much money do I have to set up the business? And entrepreneurship says, forget that, focus on the business opportunity. Innovation, which features in this course as well, simple definition or explanation of that is it's something new that creates value for the consumer. So invention is not innovation. Innovation is an invention that's actually has value within it. In terms of creativity, and I'll explain just the creativity in my next slide a little bit more detail, but I just wanted to say at this juncture that I certainly don't regard myself as an expert in creativity, even though I've been I talk about it in a small way on my in my entrepreneurship and innovation course. I should point out this is a postgraduate course that I teach, but we also have a parallel course that we teach in our bachelor's degree, our undergraduate program. Why I became interested in this project and also interested in using the Ingenium tool was because I wanted to develop the creativity area up a little bit stronger, make it a little bit stronger in my course, increase the focus, excuse me, there, increase the exposure to my students. But I'm a pretty busy person, I guess, just like all of us. I'm actually, for the last 15 months, I've been on secondment in Singapore, have been living up there, based there, running the university's academic operations there. And so, while I've been teaching for some time, I'm always looking for ways to actually reduce my preparation time. And so this is where the Ingenium tool was useful to me. Um, I should point out, and I'll come back to that. I should point out why, with creativity, why it's important in the entrepreneurship area. It's because successful entrepreneurs, I guess, have got a balance. On the one hand, you certainly need to be objective in evaluating business situations, but or social situations that you want to commit to develop. But you've also, in the first instance, before you do the evaluation, you've got to be creative in identifying possibilities there. And so this is why creativity is so crucial to teaching entrepreneurship. And indeed, I really would like to actually, I'm the director of our school, or it's called a centre, but it's actually a school for entrepreneurship. And I want to spread embed creativity, even though we have a whole course on it. I'm really keen to embed a small section of creativity in all our courses in our entrepreneurship programs, because for entrepreneurs, it's so crucial to for discovering possibilities, generating ideas about new businesses, for recognizing business opportunities that they can exploit. The problem is that as probably for those who work in the creativity area, teach or do research there, you'll be well aware that many people have mental locks that inhibit their creative thinking. And I guess the most powerful one that locks us up is that we just don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe we're creative. So that's this is why I really do believe in developing creativity in our courses. It just wasn't an afterthought. It's been something I've been thinking about for a while. And so the Ingenium tool provided a possibility, a pathway for me to follow to actually try to develop it up in a minimal time. And I was particularly interested because in how this tool went, because I'd like to actually make it available and encourage our other lecturers to actually be exposed to this. And as I said, to put some aspect of creativity in the other courses that are taught in our entrepreneurship programs. For those of you who maybe have not had exposure to the tool, or only minimal exposure, there's the website for the tool I've actually got up on the slide here. And the tool involves 5 stages, looking at the big picture, and there's a number of different subparts to this, coming up with ideas to do with the big picture, engaging with others, looking to collaborate, thinking about and after collaboration with them, considering whether the problem's been solved, and coming up out of that, coming up with new ideas from that, which could help you solve the problem. What I like about the tool is that there's a case study there that actually helps step you through the process, and there are various explanations there that I think insightful and would help a novice to understand what's going on and help them in certainly as a lecturer developing up their materials. So with this tool then, what I did in my class situation was that I introduced my class. Well, I've used the tool twice for my students. One class in Singapore, a postgraduate course in innovation and entrepreneurship in Singapore, which was a part of our master's degree in applied innovation and entrepreneurship. And I also used it in a class down here in Adelaide, which is also was a integral part of the Masters of Applied Innovation and Entrepreneurship. In both cases, this course is core to that degree program. And so what I did in terms of, well, initially I did my preparation, went through the website myself, got a handle on it. I had a couple of questions when I was doing my preparation. I certainly found the support team at UniSA very helpful there and very prompt, and they answered my questions very quickly. And so that I got up to speed, I would say with the tool in less than maybe less than 4 hours easily. There, of course, though, I certainly wasn't an expert at it, and the more that I became involved with it, the more confident I felt with it. So after that, I probably spent about 6 hours, 7 hours in preparation with the tool all up. And my Singapore course started first. I then introduced the tool into my class session. This followed a talk on creativity. Now, at the time when I first used this tool, in Singapore, I don't think there were too many resources available. And so I ended up incurred a little bit of overhead, which I was happy to do in developing up creativity, a more in-depth lecture on creativity than what I'd done previously. So that set the context, and then this moved into the Ingenium, use of the Ingenium tool. In Adelaide, I was lucky enough to have Ron Corso come along, and he did a guest lecturing spot for me, and which provided the introduction for using the tool with the students. So what I did with the students in both situations, in both Singapore and Adelaide, is that after talking about creativity, giving them an overview of the tool, I then gave them an hour in Teams to actually play around with the tool, to explore it, to go through the video clips, and to ask me questions and that. So that was very much an interactive session. The reason why they were interested in learning about this is shown on the next slide, which I'll bring up now, because part of their assessment, what I do in my classes is I'm very much a pracademic, a practical academic, and this course is certainly, while it's built on theory, it has applied sections to it. And this piece of assessment was an applied aspect of the course. And so what you need to understand what the assessment was. So what I do is I provide my students with a business plan. This is a real business plan developed up by a team of real entrepreneurs. And I'm lucky enough to actually have videoed the entrepreneurs actually presenting their case for funding to a panel of venture capitalists and business angels. That is, people who are interested in investing in their businesses. So I present them with the business plan. They review that and they look at the video, and then they're asked 3 questions to evaluate the quality of the business plan, to evaluate the quality of the business opportunity, and in this regard, would they invest or not? And this is based on content we address in the course. But the final part is probably more to do with the Ingenium tool and the creativity side of things, where but they're given a business plan for a real situation where there's an entrepreneur wanting to start a business, and what they have to do as part of their assessment, and this is worth 15 marks to them, they have to come up with 5 ideas for building upon the original business concept that the entrepreneurs put up, and lead to spin-off innovations that could spawn new businesses or could help that business develop. And as part of this process, they're told that they have to use the Ingenium framework in developing a solution. And so I have they have this as part of a take-home exam, but I run a parallel session, a separate session with a separate business plan in class to get them experienced with using the Ingenium framework. So in this regard, they spend an additional hour in class talking about this, and then they take home after the lectures. They go home and work on this in small groups, and then they turn back up at lectures at the next lecture, and we discuss how they went in using the tool, and also, and looking at the ideas that they developed, whether these people believe they have any substance or not, or whether they're just some sort of crazy things that could work, but maybe need a little bit more attention to develop. So that's the process and the context that I actually use the tool in. And this is certainly to get the message across to my students just how important creativity is to the innovation and entrepreneurship process. I found my training is an accountant. I'm a chartered accountant, and I've been in practice, worked as a company liquidator. As an accountant, my initial training is to be very objective, to evaluate things. And so my message to my students is, yes, there is a time for evaluation, but in the first instance, you actually have to explore the possibilities. Using the Ingenium tool, I find is very useful in getting my students to stave off the evaluation of their ideas in the first instance. The evaluation comes after they've actually generated possibilities, and we use a different decision tool to do that. So that was the context that I used this in. In terms of what I found and what I believe the students found, because the students, I gave the students a questionnaire to complete after we'd completed our lectures. From my point of view, even though I'd taught, I had a small session on creativity embedded in my lecture previously. I actually, my feedback about the tool is very positive. I have to say, I was a little bit skeptical at first in using the tool. And although I knew I wanted to actually expand the content in creativity, I was just, skeptical and thinking that there could be some sort of framework that actually could be used that would be useful and that would reduce my time. I'm happy to say that my fears were relatively unfounded. It was relatively easy to use and to get up to speed in a relatively short time frame there. Would I use it again? Definitely. I'm looking to now use it in another course that I teach on strategic planning in terms of generating possible strategies for developing businesses, coming up with new ideas to actually do that. As a final comment there from my part, I just wanted to say that I found the online help provided by Charlie and Ron and the team very useful. I suspect they're not going to be able to do this if large numbers of people, lecturers and students are involved, but they were very helpful to me. And of those students who actually used the online help, they commented very, very favourably in terms of the support that they got and the promptness in terms of the replies, how quickly they were received. So from a student point of view, following on from that, student response was positive. Can I say, however, that what was interesting is that part of the tool is there's a mind mapping application in there. And when it came to using the mind mapping application, a few of my students, only a small handful, they actually had their own mind mapping software. And they actually, after using the Ingenium tool, going through the different phases, looking at the process and that, they felt more comfortable using their own mind mapping software. But but when I asked them about did they think that the tool itself was beneficial, they responded very favourably there. They thought that it did help them a lot in understanding, providing a context for using their mind map there. So I thought that was interesting because I was expecting the students to say, well, no, we're already doing this, but it actually did add additional value to them. One of the things, if I just comment, I meant to mention this when it came down, when I was talking about the lecturer feedback. When I used the tool when it was first developed in the earlier days, and there was I don't think there was a wide range of references and additional video clips there, additional resources for the lecturer and or students. And but in terms of the tool now, it actually has all these added in, and I think these are a great benefit. Because I actually had to go out and find my own references there. And as I mentioned, I had Ron Corso come in and give a talk. So he actually took the place of a video clip for me, and he did it very, very effectively there as well. So now there are some other video clips there. I'd actually suggest as well that perhaps that could be augmented. Maybe there could be some additional video clips that could be added to the library there in a very easy way, just to develop up to give a wider range of choice in terms of the lecture, so that the lecturer or the students have a greater access and a wider choice there in terms of looking at the videos. I'm not criticising the videos that are certainly there, although it's disappointing. I'm a great fan of John Cleese, and I note that the John Cleese video is not available. Which is a little bit disappointing, but overall, I very much enjoyed the experience of using it. Would certainly use it again, and I'm a convert and an avid fan of the Ingenium tool, and would be more than happy to talk to anyone after this if they wanted to have a chat offline about using it there. That's really about all I've got to say there. So I'd actually, throw it open to questions if there's any issues that I haven't addressed, or you want more information on something. So over to you.
That's fabulous. Thanks, Noel. Does anyone have any questions for Noel? They can come through either your microphone or through the chat window.
I see there's a question here from David Corkendale. Could it be used as a purely online course? Yeah, David, it possibly could be. I mean, in our centre here, we have all our programs, or our 2 postgraduate programs, are offered online, and I'm just about to introduce our bachelor's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship online as well from next year. I think this will be possible. The thing that we're obviously going to miss out on there would be the synchronous online support there, but I don't think that's a major issue. When I first looked at the Ingenium tool, I did it in Singapore, and I did it by myself. I said it took about 4 hours initially, and so I could very easily do that from a lecturing point of view. And I think students would equally be able to actually do that. Though there's no doubt that some sort of guidance there from someone who's in the know how to use it would certainly be beneficial. Um, Probably, what would also be enhanced would be the blended learning approach, where to get the most out of this, if you did have this course online that you manage, if you could somehow have a face-to-face workshop there, I think there'd be a lot of benefit from that. So, and I see Denise has responded there that she runs, where is it? She's running synchronous chat classes there. So maybe Denise is someone who could be worth having a chat to, David. As you're probably aware, Denise is on the McGill campus, and David's on the City West campus at UDSA. Sorry, there's a question here from Nicholas. How does this fit in with the UBD way of working in curriculum design? Nicholas, sorry, mate, I'm not. What's the UBD way of working in curriculum design? I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry. Oh, understanding by design. Well, I mean, I think maybe Denise would be a good one for answering that. She's probably a little bit more in the know about that, and I see that she's responding to your question there, Nicholas. Um, Yeah, I mean, David, your question about an introductory talk, can I be honest with you? I thought Ron Corso's talk was just great, and while the video clips from YouTube are very excellent, I think it would be great to have a tailored talk aimed at the Ingenium tool. And so one of my recommendations would be uh, for the team to develop up a tailored talk on creativity that links in to the Ingenium tool. Ron and Stuart they have a number of separate videos for each of the phases, but I think what's actually missing there is an introductory talk on creativity and then leading that into the tool. So I'd certainly endorse that, David. I think that's a great idea. Um, Catherine, have I used it with other groups, not just students? I have not, but I'd be keen to use it in situations with business people, groups of entrepreneurs, and the like. We probably will end up using it. We run an entrepreneur competition in Adelaide and in France and in Singapore called the E-Challenge, and it typically has to have at least one student in the teams there, but other people in the teams is for developing up new business ideas. They can be people from the business world, and I'm keen to actually use the Ingenium tool with that e-challenge competition there. So it'd be interesting to see how the students in the teams versus the adults in the teams, how they actually embrace it. But I've only used it with students. Yeah. Um, so Robin from Philip from QUT says, can you tell us more about how the tool helped to contextualize the mind mapping exercise that the students did? I think, it provided a framework within which to work through, Robin. And it certainly helped me to just not the students. The Um, I've used mind mapping beforehand, on whiteboards and butcher's paper in a whole range of situations, they're business and in academic. And what I found is with the framework gave me a bit of a process to follow. And let's face it, creativity is sort of certainly not it's not about being rigid or regimented. But I found that the framework provided by Ingenium, it provided latitude to work within, and it gave meaning to what the idea, use of the mind mapping tool, and also how others could become involved with it as well. As I mentioned earlier, there are other mind mapping applications around, uh, but for the students who use their own these other applications as part of this process, they still provided favourable comments about the tool in terms of the process that they followed and providing a context for them. So. So I'm just looking, seeing if there's if there's any other questions there that I've missed here. Look, I'm sure the tool is a work in progress. I mean, I think it's a great it's at certainly at a final stage now that it can be used by students and lecturers and indeed I suspect business people as well, people from any walk of life who are interested in creativity. But as it over time, I have no doubt that it will be enhanced in different ways and improved there. It is a work in progress. So I'm just going through and seeing if there's any other questions there that I've.
There's one there from
A question
Gmail.
here from G. Sorry. Have you built onto your assessment feedback pro forma that students have used? No, G, I haven't. I actually we actually had we have self questions. I'm sure in all universities the students evaluate the lecturer's delivery as well as the course. In my evaluations of the course, there were a number of comments. There were no questions directed specifically at Ingenium, but in terms of feedback, what did students like about my course? There were a few students, both in Adelaide and Singapore, who commented favourably about the Ingenium tool, but I ended up administering a separate questionnaire on the students' experience with the questionnaire there. So, but probably worth in future actually building a question or two into our standard lecturer evaluation, student lecturer evaluation there. Going back to Robin at QUT, does that mean the tool is helping students articulate what they're doing when they're thinking about possibilities? Yeah, I think so, Robin. I actually think so. It's not just a mechanical exercise, like let's brainstorm and come up with some ideas. I think it provides them with a little bit of, direction there, and I think it gets them thinking a bit more about what they're doing there, and also how to best use others in the process in developing up the ideas there. That's my anecdotal sort of comment there. It'd be worth certainly maybe asking, having some questions on this and going back to the students to see what they thought there, because I'm putting words in their mouth, I suspect. Rupa, happy to catch up if you're in Adelaide, and talk about integrating this in learning design based approach. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. David's question, how big are the teams in the class? I was surprised that they only needed 1 hour to review the steps. Oh, okay, David, I gave them, just to expand on that, my teams of students are between 3 and 5 in a group. And the initial, I didn't have a lot of time in class because I wanted to cover other topics as well. So I gave them an hour initially after talking about it, going through it on the screen in front of them. I wanted them just to actually get around it themselves initially. So I gave them an hour just to play around with the thing. But no, that certainly didn't make them experts. They had that exercise where they had to. I gave them a business plan and they had to come up with five ideas and 5 new innovations. So they spent time away from the classroom. I interacted with some of those students, some of those groups during this process. One thing I didn't mention is that all our courses in our school are not delivered in traditional mode. They're delivered in intensive mode. So typically somewhere between 2 to 4 days intensive lectures at a time, followed by a 3 to 4 week break, and then another 2 to 3 day, not 2 to 4, 2 to 3 day final session. So the students after the first intensive then have 2 to 3 weeks to work on things, to review assignments, and to discuss with the lecturer questions that they have. So, and then we come back and do the final 2 to 3 days. Yeah. So, they certainly didn't become an expert after the first hour, David. Oh, yes. Charles has made the point, which is very true. It's open source. And so, thanks, Charles. If you want to modify it in any way, you can certainly do that. That's what I love about this. So it's great if people pool their ideas, and so we look to enhance the thing because it's a living item there. But certainly, if you want to tailor it for your own use, not a problem. And Charles certainly, and or Denise can provide you insights there in terms of what to do if you want to enhance it in different ways. In terms of the technical side of things, I'm not a programmer of it all, but Charles understands this sort of thing, and I'm sure Denise knows the big picture type things there. Rupa, how is it to pick up on the use of the Ingenium tool? As I said, my first exposure was about 4 hours, and then I had a couple of questions which I dealt with by email and Skype with Denise and Charles actually, and Ron Corso. But I ended up spending about 7 hours or so before my first lecture. But after the first 4 hours, and some of this time actually was taken up just watching the videos. So you just need to put some quiet time aside. And I went back and replayed videos and the like in the 5 different stages. So I think okay. So I had a bit of an understanding of creativity. I've taught it before, but I think even if you've never taught creativity beforehand. And I think this is where it'd be great if Ron or Stuart or we had a video there at the beginning just talking about creativity, which then led into the tool. I think that would be beneficial for someone who's had absolutely no exposure with teaching creativity previously. So I'm just looking at the questions. I'm a little bit behind here. Yeah, I think Denise's point, students pick it up pretty quickly once they can start discussing it amongst themselves, and that's what I found. So my team in that first hour, they went through it individually, just scanning it, and then they discussed big issues that they had, but worked in teams afterward. What I also found, there was a sense of competitiveness, rightfully or wrongfully, in terms of my teams of students who wanted to come up with not only coming up with ideas, but coming up with better ideas than the ideas and teams in the other groups. So there was a bit of a competitiveness spirit there, but I never set out to actually achieve that. But they certainly embraced the tool quite passionately. I guess you could say would be the term. Yeah. It was first time I've used it this year, and it was a great success. I'm always looking for ways to engage my students, and I found this as very useful for doing that. Robin said using the tool in an intensive class context would mean that you had time to answer individual questions while they explored the tool. And and Robin, that's quite correct. Yeah. But I also, so I could deal. I only had that hour, and I must admit, so I walked around to the different groups of students in the class. Didn't have a lot of time because the first 30 minutes or so were students just skimming the site, going through a couple of the videos and that, not all of them, and then they had some questions about that because they knew they'd have to go and work on this after class. So they were trying to get prepared and set up for when they left the lecture environment. And so I ended up meeting with a number of the student groups, not all of them, but a number of the student groups after the class before the next intensive session. But I wouldn't. I don't think I would change the format at all in my next class. I've actually got another class I'm teaching on strategy, entrepreneurial strategy, in about a month's time, and so I think I'm going to use this tool in that class as well, and it's a similar sort of format. But it's undergraduate. That's the difference. I've used this tool with 2 postgraduate courses. The next course I'll be using then will be an undergraduate course. Sorry, I'm just looking at some of the questions here. I think Denise is dealing with some of the issues there. So I'll just.
Noel, I've just added a link for Ingenium for Teachers, which is down the bottom. Camilla was asking.
Oh, okay, great, Carolyn. Thanks. So,
how to use
does everyone
down
have access to that?
Yeah, they should do that. Down the bottom, there's 3 web links. There's one that takes you to our project site.
Yep.
So if you highlight that and then click Browse to, it will take you there.
Yep.
Ingenium, which is the student tool you've been talking about, and Ingenium for Teachers. And as Denise is saying in the chat, we're also developing Ingenium for researchers.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. Brilliant. Thanks, Carolyn. Thank you. So. So you may want to actually have a look at those sites there after this session. I don't know. Are there any questions that I haven't answered at all?
No, we've still got people typing, so we'll just see what.
What's that? Sorry.
We've
Oh, still people typing.
typing.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so I see David's used it. Okay, great, David. Yeah, I must have a chat with you. When I'm next down at City West campus. I'm down there early September. So I must try and drop in and have a chat to you about it, David. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a question there from Robin. Do you foresee any difference using the tool with undergraduates compared with postgrads?
Sorry, Robin. I didn't see that. Yeah, Robin, it'll be interesting, but I suspect not. The It's hard to say. I mean, obviously, with postgraduate students, that they've got a work experience background to draw upon. But no, I really don't see it. I mean, it'll be interesting to have a look at the differences between the undergraduate and postgraduate responses. Because I think what I may do is actually use this same exercise with my undergraduate students just to actually see whether how they fare versus the postgraduate students. Interesting is that I actually run that same undergraduate course in Singapore as well. I'm actually, but I'm, yeah. So, and I can look at actually doing that next year. But no, Robin, I actually don't. I don't expect to have differences, but that's my null hypothesis anyway. But it'd be interesting to see if there are. But many of our, I should point out that many of our undergraduate students, well, certainly the ones enrolled in our program, our bachelor's degree, but they have not come straight from school. Many of them have actually done a TAFE program, a diploma or an advanced diploma, and that's provided pathways to our bachelor's degree. But not everybody. I mean, there are a few students who do come straight from school. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see whether there are any differences there. I'm happy to let people know, but also I think I will definitely use the same exercise just to try and gauge whether there are any differences between the postgrad and undergraduate.
Noel, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Before you met up with Ron and Stuart and had them coming in, so before the development of Ingenium, how were you teaching creativity? You would have seen a real difference with the students using Ingenium and
Yeah.
compared to how they used to do it.
Carolyn, I mean, I always, I still have those, the basic context, or basic slides on creativity. I talk about, what is creativity. I lead into it in terms of how important creativity is for entrepreneurs, and then, what is it? Why I talk about mental locks. Why some people don't believe they're creative and whatever, and how creativity peaks for most of us when we're very young. I talk about those things in the left hand, right hand brain type stuff, and then. But usually from there, I've never actually, I've just talked about it, and not so much gone into having any sort of exercise or assessment that's involved creativity. And so I've still kept those initial slides there, and I still do that part, and that usually takes about 40 minutes or so, 50 minutes out of the day. But now I've embedded this, the exercise, a hands-on exercise, so which reinforces, their learning process. So I think that's the major difference here, is that this has actually allowed me to reinforce the creativity in my course through doing, learning through doing there, whereas beforehand I was mainly just talking about it. I guess that's a major difference. I hadn't quite thought about it, Carolyn, but yeah, that's really what's happened.
I
Yeah.
think that's a real benefit of Ingenium. I've noticed in the course that I teach with Denise, Introduction to Digital Media, that actually having this process available for them, they really, the students use it, really get involved in the process,
Yeah.
dig deep in that well of thoughts.
Yeah.
Whereas previously, without that framework, without those questions, they would just skip over most of it and come up with the first idea and think that was being creative. So it really has given them a
Yeah,
strong
yeah,
platform.
Carolyn. No, I think it's really beneficial from that point of view. And the thing is, I mentioned we deliver all our courses in intensive mode. So you're standing up in front of students from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Over a few days, and from 2 to 3 days at a time. And they just don't want to sit there and listen to someone talking to them all the time. They want to be engaged, but they want meaningful engagement, and that's where I kind of found this useful because I have other exercises. I've had, like I've used the occasional case on creativity, but it didn't really kind of work. Whereas this has actually worked very well.
Fabulous. Well, that's just about our time up. Are there any final questions for Noel? Maybe a couple more coming through.
I just see here. Sorry, there's a question here from Kath Higgins about using it in professional development programs. Yeah, for professional staff, and yeah, that's a great idea actually. Um, Having creativity is important for everybody there. I'm more than happy to have a chat after this, Kath, and or Denise will be happy to chat with you as well. I'm sure about that. I'm sure there'll be some great ideas. Ron Corso and Stuart Gluth have often talked about running professional development workshops on creativity for the public, not as an award program there. So there may be some possibilities there.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Noel. That was a great way to wrap up our project with that.
No, it was great, and thanks everybody for bearing with me, and I very much appreciate it. And if I can help anybody after this, please don't hesitate to drop us an email. I'm off to Singapore tomorrow for the rest of the week, so I may be offline just for a little bit, but just bear with me. I'll get back to you eventually.
Excellent. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.
Great. Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.